Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Board Game Mechanics. I'm Katie, and with me, as always, is...
Hey, guys, what's going on? It is Jason.
And I hope everyone in the States had a great 4th of July weekend. It was nice to have some time off for us. I'm not super patriotic, actually. I'm not unpatriotic, but I'm not overly patriotic. But the 4th of July is always kind of like cuckoo crazy for us because our oldest hates fireworks. She freaks out about them. It's like a whole weekend of off-schedule happenings. Oof. We're thinking about, well, at least I think that we should just travel internationally over the 4th of July next year.
Yeah, because Canada Day is the week before, right? Or 2 weeks before?
Yeah, the beginning.
Yeah, so we should be good. We just go to Canada and hide out for a little bit.
As long as they're all done. It was just, wow. I'm glad that's over. I also got a gnarly sunburn. You'd think after being the color of paper for as many years as I have been, I would get to use sunscreen on a regular basis, which I did. But here's the thing. When you're standing in the pool, sure, it doesn't seem like a good idea to sunscreen your legs. When you lay in a float, however, your legs do see the sun. And my skin is not friends with the sun. In fact, we are old enemies. So let me tell you, sunburning the front of your legs really stinks.
Yeah, that's exactly why I stay inside. That reason right there.
I have also, I've sunburnt the back of my legs before. I've sunburnt the bottom of my feet before. Oh, you think I'd be used to it by now?
You would think.
I'm going to start wearing my sun hat around. That's all there is to it. It's not going to help my legs, but...
I mean, if you put them on your legs, it will. Like, you can cut, like, holes in the top of your sun hat and, like, put your legs to it.
Again, then my legs would stick out and they would still see the sun.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I guess we'll have to kibosh that idea. All right. So, since we've had a big weekend to rest up, we got lots of stuff to talk about. And actually... So last time I gave this like really heartfelt shout out to people who have given us really nice reviews and stuff. And I still feel that way. And I said, hey, if you want to be my Fickle favorite, you go ahead and post. And we had a new member of the Riveted. Not only did she join, but she posted. So all the way from the land down under, Lyss Cole, you are my Fickle favorite this week. I know she's... I don't know, maybe not quite 100 episodes behind. So it'll be a long time before she gets to this episode. But this is your shout out. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for joining our awesome Facebook group. If you haven't joined our Facebook group, we'd love to have you. We just talk about games and have a good time there. And it's all just pretty okay. So, hashtag The Riveted on Facebook. It's one word. It's real easy to get in. And we'd love to have you. And then you might get a shout out if you start posting on my Fickle favorites.
That's true. Katie does love new people in The Riveted. So you keep joining, she'll keep shouting you out.
I do. Because sometimes like Jason gets to like the approvals first. So I don't see them. And then I get real sad. But when I do see them, I'm like, ooh. Somebody new, and then I get excited to like approve you and find out more about you and Facebook stalk you and all that normal stuff.
Now you're just making it creepy. Like, yeah, it's just getting creepy now.
It's totally normal, right? Everybody does that.
I don't Facebook stalk anybody. I just click approve and move on with my life.
I'm sure everybody has Facebook stalked me. You guys have, right? Actually, maybe you don't care enough to Facebook stalk me. That's okay. I just, like to use what I got available. Anyway, Let's talk about some news. So, this week, I've got some really interesting and very wildly different themed games. The first game is a theme that I like. I always think there should be more themes and more games about gangstas. And this one is. It's called Scarface 1920, the OG gangsta. And so this is a really interesting looking game. So you get to be a mob boss in Chicago. So you got the map of Chicago. And actually the mob bosses and the areas and a lot of the stuff that happens in the game is based on like true historical things. So this is happening during Prohibition, Chicago. So like late 20s, early 30s. You can be Al Capone. You can be Stephanie St. Clair. You can be Arnold Rothstein. You can be Dean O'Banion.
I thought you were going to say Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I was getting excited. Doesn't make sense to the theme, but I was still really excited.
That makes zero sense. So this is like a really interesting combination of mechanics. So in this game, you've got your mob. You're obviously trying to control a bunch of territory and make the most money during Prohibition. So you're going to kind of make a plan and control like your like minions. I think they have a better name for that. Thugs. Control your thugs and any other like mobsters that you hire, because there are like extra thugs, different specialized types of thugs that you can get. Associates, like hitmen and moonshiners and bootleggers and corrupt cops and thieves and gamblers and like brothel madams and stuff. So you create a deck almost. So there's some deck building to that, and they give you like kind of muscle sometimes points. They can give you different actions. They can give you influence in areas. So you use those to take, like those cards will give you actions as well as like points of different types to spend on other actions. And then there's worker placement pieces where you're putting thugs out on the board to do different things. So there's like a lot of stuff happening in this game. I watched a playthrough and I'm like, holy crap. So you're like completing jobs. They're going to get you stuff. And you need certain things to complete the jobs. And sometimes they'll give you long-term effects. Sometimes it's a one-time effect. You have an asymmetrical player power as a mob boss. And then there's like this Fed track that almost reminds me of kind of the Suspicion track in Black Orchestra. It's like the more suspicious kind of activities you do, the more your like kind of criminal activity points or whatever go up. And so then you've got Elliot Ness and his Untouchables that are coming after you. So like you have to watch out for that, because then there's like these news cards and things happen that kind of change the game too. Like there's a bunch of mechanics all rolled up into one in this game. Like it's really cool because you're also like making businesses. So you can make money. You can then go and expand your empire, raid other like neighborhoods, take them over. You're then make your neighborhood maybe a little more high class and have a nightclub instead of just like a speakeasy or a casino. There's just a lot of really interesting game mechanics in it. There's also a solo mode for this, which I think is cool too. A lot of good stuff. Now, the bad stuff. It's full of miniatures, and they're cool. Like, really, they are. And you got like little cool cars, and they've really detailed like the costumes on the miniatures even, in the way they look. The cars look awesome. You've got barrels of like, bootleg gin. You've got little handguns. Cool. Definitely really cool. Because of that, the price point is high. So if you're interested in Scarface, you like mobsters, you like area control, deck building, and worker placement, and assorted other things, there's 5 days left in this Kickstarter. The base pledge is $117.
Whoa, I saw you put that on here. I thought that was deluxe.
No. That is not the deluxe. But you have all these miniatures, and like I think there's a free expansion that comes with it. It's $117. There's a $164 pledge, which gives you sleeves and wooden crates for goods and plastic business markers and stuff. But just like the core game and the unlocked stretch goals is $117.
This isn't Eagle Griffin, is it?
No, it's Redzen.
Gosh, Eagle Griffin's the only other company I've seen that has over $100 base game pledge. That is crazy. Crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm like out 3 times on this one. It sounds amazing. Like this game looks amazing. This would be a game I'd probably play and enjoy, but I can't do that. Yeah,
it looks really great, and it looks like it'd be fun. And I love a good mob theme. But yeah, that's a big price point. But it is, there's tons of minis. So each mob boss has their own mini. You got your thugs, your like generic thug minis. Then you get like your associate minis. Then you've got a mini for like the leader of the feds, Elliot Ness. Then you got like your car miniatures, you know, all those like resources, the guns and the bootleg stuff. So, I mean, you're paying for the plastic.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe someday we'll play this game.
Maybe. Probably not. But maybe.
Maybe. So my next game also has really awesome bits, really awesome art, but not $117. And this is a completely different theme. This is called Forest of Pangaia. This is a game about like growing trees and being with the forces of nature. And it's just so pretty. Like, it really is so beautiful. Really, like, simple, clean art, but it also has these great bits. So in this game, you have seeds. There's also, you get little wooden seeds, and there's different types of land. So you're getting resources, which are the different elements. So wind, water, you know, sun, all that stuff. You're getting those from the land to allow you to get seeds. And then from seeds, you're going to grow trees. And then you can actually make your trees go bigger. So you got little extra treetops. And so you're expanding, you're moving around trees, making the different heights. In a lot of ways, it reminds me almost of just the bamboo, the gardener portion of Takenoko. So there's a little bit of other things, but you're trying to complete these rituals, which are like those kind of gardener spaces in Takenoko. So you're like, you want a tree this high out this way, and then one that's this high out this way. And you're trying to fulfill 4 of those. They call them rituals in order to end the game. So it looks like a very casual, relaxed game. And you've got these cute little trees to play with that can go up to like 3 levels high, these little seeds. And then your player piece is like, it's called a nature spirit. And it looks like, I think it's based on like a Japanese nature spirit, which if any of you have seen Princess Mononoke, it's the big, like, many antlered, like, deer in that movie. And it's this really cool meeple of that. It's just so pretty. It looks like a light, casual, fun game. And if you like, you know, that part of Takenoko and that kind of thing, or even, I've never played photosynthesis, but it sounds kind of similar to that, check out Forest of Pangaia. There's 6 days left in that Kickstarter, and it's $58 for the base.
Yeah, this sounds pretty neat. It's definitely more manageable than Scarface, but I feel like I would like Scarface a little bit more. But
well, yes, that's true. But it's still fun things to play with. I would lose this game every time because I would just be playing with the trees and making my little deer run around.
Yeah, probably.
And the last game I want to talk about, another wildly different theme. I love, well, I mean, I guess the forest theme isn't that new, but I like gangsters. This one is about rock climbing, and this game is called First Ascent. And it's by a female game designer, which I think is awesome. So this game is about rock climbing. So there's a 2 to 3 player side where you're climbing in a desert. And there's a 4 to 5 player side where you're climbing in a forest. So you pick your climber, and there's like different funny like stereotypes of climbers. Like one is called like the crag mama. So because you're like this mom, you have like a mother's intuition, and so it gives you like a special power, which I think is really cool. They all have unique abilities. There's one that's like the rope guru, the free soloist, the dirtbag who like lives in this camper.
That's funny. That's a good name.
The overstoker, the buff boulderer, the young prodigy, the cool-headed crimper. So all these different things. Like you can pick a personality that comes with a power. Then you've got these hexes. They're called pitches. So these hex tiles kind of make up what the rock face is. And so like in order to like climb and go up these places, the pitches, you've got to psych yourself up. So there's like these psych points. And you might need some water. You might need a certain level of skill and gear that you get from some cards that you have. So you're collecting those cards as well to help you out. You're achieving these objectives like, oh, you want to plan a route to, you know, go a certain way, like climb 3 pitches that have an animal or an insect in its name, because all the pitches have certain names on them, and you're like building up your skills. So like you on your little climber personality, you can actually progress as a climber. And so then you climbing more difficult pitches can get easier as you go along. And you can add like different gear and skills that you have that can be used on future climbs, which I think is really cool. You're improving your technique, all this stuff, and you're building this pathway. So you're using rope. So you've got these little rope pieces. You're building up. It's not really a race to the top, but it's about making the best route to the top to get as many points as possible through your gear, through the skills that you're adding, through meeting these objectives, through improving your technique. It looks really cool, like interesting. Like there's lots of different stuff happening here. It's like they say it's a medium weight, and I'd say that's true. There's double-sided boards for the player mats, 10 characters with some good boards. Like, there's some cool stuff here. Like, you got your 5 little climbers and their little ropes. It look, as much as I don't care about rock climbing, this looks fun. So, if that appeals to you, First Ascent has 5 days left on Kickstarter, and the base pledge is $49.
Yeah, I think you said it's a mountain and a forest that you're climbing up.
No, like
right?
One's a desert scene and the other one's like in a forest.
Oh, so there's still mountains on both.
Yeah, it's a rock face. Either way.
Yeah, that's cool. The only games that I've seen like that, there's a Summit game that I haven't played, and then there's that little Dicey Peaks from like the dice game. Like I like the theme of the mountain climbing stuff. I just usually the game Dicey Peaks is fun. It's not the greatest game in the world, but getting like a medium weight rock climbing game could be kind of cool. I
know. There's like some really interesting looking mechanics in this one. I like that idea of like you're like doing some goal fulfillment. There's some like set collection in some ways with the cards you're picking, but you're really like trying to maximize those points and make this like strategic route building kind of thing. So that seems cool. Engine building, resource management, route building, set matching, modular board, all great things. That's First Ascent. Check it out.
Yeah, sounds cool.
That's all I've got for Kickstarter this week.
All right, let's move into some games played. We got some games that we actually did play this week, which is nice. So let's just talk about a few. So the first one is a new hotness game. It's one of the new games that's available at Target. We played a lot of these new games because our buddy bought a lot of them. So
there had a big sale. He cashed in on it.
Yeah. So this one is Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. So I believe this is still from Stronghold and Fricks Games, same designer as Terraforming Mars, I believe. And I could just be talking out of my butt. I don't really know, but I think that's correct. But either way, this feels a lot like Terraforming Mars. It just is maybe a more simple version. And by simple, I mean you don't have to... There's not as much stuff you can do on your turn. So it's going to kind of streamline a little bit. So the way this game works is it's a card game. Terraforming Mars is already a card game, so that's kind of dumb. But it's effectively going to mix Terraforming Mars with Race for the Galaxy or Roll for the Galaxy. And what that means is each player is going to have 5 cards in their hand that's going to be like a phase of the game. So there's one which is, I can't remember what they are, but one's going to let you play cards, one's going to let you produce goods, one's going to let you play a different color of card, one's going to let you take actions, and the 5th one, I can't remember, but there's 5 different actions you can take. You're going to play down the card of the action that you want to take. Everybody else also gets to take that action, but if you pick it, you also get a bonus action, and only the actions, the cards that people play down are the things that you're allowed to do on your turn. So if I really want to do action 3, I can either try to hope somebody plays action 3 to do it, or I can play action 3 myself and be guaranteed to do it. So it's that kind of deal. And what you're trying to do, you're still trying to terraform Mars. You're trying to, I think it's Mars or Ares, I don't know. You're trying to terraform the planet. Mars. You're trying to raise the oxygen, get some water out on the planet, and raise the temperature so you can live on it. And you're doing that the same way. You're going to play cards. You're going to pay mega credits for it. You might have to it'll give you heat production if you play some cards. It could give you some plants, all that kind of thing. So the normal card play of Terraforming Mars is still in this. It's a little simpler, I think, but it's still in there. So that was a horrible explanation. Just think Terraforming Mars mixed with Roll or Race for the Galaxy, and that's what this game is. So what did you think of Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition in the first play?
It was okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too.
Like, what I didn't like about this is you weren't really terraforming the planet like you are in the original game. You can only flip over like the ocean tiles. So like you're not really adding the forest down there. You're not building like settlements and trying to get them around certain things. I feel like you're really confined in your card play. There are certain things I like about like, I feel like the generating of resources and the keeping track of those is much simpler in this one. And I like that. I guess maybe if I'd never played the base game, I would like this one a lot. If you wanted to give people a taste and say, okay, are they going to hate Terraforming Mars or not? You could start with this one. But it definitely left me wanting to play the actual original game, personally.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. I understand the appeal of that, picking a card for the action you want to take. I understand that. I just don't like it.
I don't like the mechanism either. That's also in the other game that I really don't like.
Roll for the Galaxy.
Yeah, I hate that game. I don't care. I know some of you like it. You're wrong. The game sucks. I
mean, I don't want to go all there, but I mean, I do like. And I understand it's supposed to make the game tighter, and
yes.
if you really want to do something, you need to play the card. But
I mean, like, let me take my actions, and if I can't do some of the actions, that's on me. But if I can do those actions, why shouldn't they just be all phases of the turn? And
yeah, that's the tough part. Is I want to do all 5 things, and if everybody plays the same card, you're going to do one thing that whole entire turn. And that, I don't know, that's not as fun to me as on Terraforming Mars. I can do whatever I want.
Right.
The 2 actions that I want to do on my turn, I can do them. And I can keep going until I run out of money. So
as long as you have resources and money, then that's what I like about Terraforming Mars. I can just do what I want to do and figure it out. I felt like I liked that there was a way to generate goods and money like more frequently in this game, because I find that that's really difficult in Terraforming Mars.
That's true. It was a little bit nicer on the resource front.
But I guess that's a trade-off just for what I didn't like about it. So it's okay. It's not bad. It's a good way to get into Terraforming Mars, see if you would like a game like that. Yeah, sure. I would not go from the full game back to this one, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I've watched some reviews, and people said that they're probably never going to play Terraforming Mars again because of this, and I find that really hard to believe. I find that hard to believe.
That means you didn't like Terraforming Mars in the first place. That's my opinion.
Like, if you've never played Terraforming Mars, or you've never played Race for the Galaxy, or a lot of games, I'd say get this for sure.
Right.
This is going to be a good time. It's going to be fun. You're going to have a great time playing this game. But if you have Terraforming Mars and you have Race or Roll for the Galaxy, I don't really feel like you need this game, because it's those 2 games mashed up in one. So I don't know.
Agreed.
I mean, I didn't hate it. I liked the game. It's just I don't see the need to play it anymore since we have Terraforming Mars.
No, it was much better than Roll for the Galaxy. That's for sure. If I had to choose between the 2, absolutely. This Ares Expedition.
I might actually say that as well, because I like the Terraforming Mars core mechanisms, like the card play and all that stuff. I like that a little bit better, I think.
Yes.
All right, so the next game we played is, we're going to go back to 1990 something. And this is an old, I think it's Parker Brothers or Milton Bradley or something. And this game is called Batman Gotham City Mystery.
I actually think this is made by Mattel.
Oh, that could be right. I don't know. It's made by one of those 3, not Hasbro. So one of the ones that's not Hasbro. And what this game is it is kind of a hidden identity, one versus everybody game. So basically, one person is going to take on the role of a villain in the Batman universe. So you have Ra's al Ghul, Mr. Freeze, Joker, Riddler, Poison Ivy, all those people, Catwoman, whoever you want to be. And everybody else is going to take on one of the good guys. So you have Batwing, Batgirl, or Nightwing, Batgirl, Batman, and Robin. And what you're trying to do, if you're the villain, is you're trying to go to these different locations by rolling a die. So it's a roll and move game, because that's what they did in the 90s.
This came out in 2003, by the way.
Oh, it feels like it came out in the 90s.
And I was right about Mattel, so...
Okay, so if you're the villain or the superheroes, you're going to roll your die, and that's how many you can move your guy or your character. Then, if you're the villain, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get into these different buildings and collect items that's on this card that you have in front of you. There's 10 different items that you're trying to steal. Your goal is to steal all of the items, and to steal all 10 of those items before the villains the good guys can figure out who you are. And the way that the good guys figure out who you are is the coolest thing, in my opinion, of this game. And you can take, if you arrest one of the henchmen or the minions, whatever they are, you can take the good that they're carrying in their backpack and you can put it in this cool, like, bat computer thing. What's going to happen is you're going to slide the piece down in this computer, and it's going to have a colored highlight of the characters that wants this item. So the more items you're going to steal, you're going to start figuring out which character the villain is playing, because sometimes only the person that you think it is, they might not need this item. So you're trying to go all the way across the back computer to see where there's a solid yellow line of items to figure out who they are. And the good guys need to figure out who the villain is before the villain steals the 10 items. There's a little bit more to it. There's some special power cards you can play, but that's effectively it. You're rolling, trying to collect items if you're the bad guy. Good guys trying to arrest the villains, figure out who they are. So I think you like this one maybe, so I'll let you talk about this one.
Yeah, I played the villains. I still don't know how to use the back computer. I'm looking at a picture of it right now, and I still don't get it. How I would figure that out. So it's a good thing I played the villains. Yeah, the rules aren't quite clear on a lot of things.
No, they're terrible. They're terrible rules.
So I'm not really sure we played it correctly on many different points. But I thought it was pretty fun because really the superheroes have a lot of advantages as far as the cards they can use to like move the Batmobile or the bat plane or whatever, which it probably would have been better if I understood what their different cards special powers did so I could try to avoid that but I didn't. Also would help if I understood that on my villain card the things I needed to steal were in certain colors, and I could go to the building that had that color. And
I thought you saw that, so that's why I didn't say anything.
I'm an idiot, so of course I didn't see that. I might have saw it, but I didn't like put two and two together. So I might have actually won this game if I had done that properly.
You probably would have, actually, because we were being pretty terrible.
You were pretty bad. The best thing about this, what I loved about this, and
the most annoying part, you mean?
No, the awesome part. And even though I didn't win, it was the best part, is not only are there like actual items to steal at the different locations, but there are also like these red herring items that are like empty cardboard boxes. So you can go to one, and since I wasn't paying attention to my colors, I went to several places that didn't have anything I needed, but they did have cardboard boxes. So you can like put them in your thug's backpack, and then I would kind of leave them sort of close to where like one of the heroes were. So they would think, oh man, we got this bad guy. Yeah, we'll go get it. And I'm like, hee hee. So when every time they turned over and they found out that the thug was only carrying an empty box, I just had an evil maniacal laugh. And it was like the best thing ever. It made me feel so good every time. And I did it like 7 times. So it felt awesome.
A ton. Yeah. We had 3 clues forever to try to figure out who you were. And we kept busting these people. There were like 7 or 8 red herring cards. It was getting really old.
It never got old. So I like it. Now that I kind of figured out how to play, I would like to play it again. I'd like us maybe just to solidify some rules, either as far as house rules go or something, to kind of make it a little more clear. But I think it's a fun little like game to just play. It's a little more than a roll and move, so there's a little bit of extra stuff happening, and the back computer does look really cool. I just don't understand how to use it at the moment.
Yeah, I think before I ever play this again, I mean, I'm sure I'll play it with the girls or something at the least, but I definitely want to go through the rules and probably just rewrite them to make them at least play how I think they're supposed to play.
Right, in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, they're bad. But yeah, I enjoyed this game. It's a silly game. Like, it's not a great game by any means. It's probably not even a good game. But it was fun. Like, I thought it was fun getting hosed over by the villain. It was fun. Yeah, and that's what a game's supposed to be. It's supposed to be fun. And a lot of these older games, they're not good, but you have a good time playing them. Yeah,
and I really loved, I was Poison Ivy. So, like, picking your bad guy and, like, oh, that's really fun to me. So, it was a good time.
And the last game we played is a game that I've actually done a video for, so you can go check out our YouTube channel for that if you would like. And it is called Die of the Dead. So, I played this game, I don't know, 3 or 4 times, but this was Katie's first time playing it. And what you're doing in this is you are taking on the role of, like, a different family during the Day of the Dead celebration. And you're trying to get one of your souls up the Magnolia Stairs, is that right?
I believe.
Marigold Stairs?
Yeah, I don't think it's Magnolia.
Yeah, Marigold Stairs, so they can get back to the land of the living. And the way that you're doing that is, it's effectively like a Yahtzee dice rolling game, sort of. You're trying to get your dice in these 4 different coffins, and each of the coffins is going to have a special ability, and you're trying to get your more of your dice into coffin number 4, which is the coffin that lets you ascend the stairs, than everybody else. But there's some dice where you can roll, and if people have duplicate numbers, they'll get booted out. There's the first coffin is always open. That's how you're going to kind of be able to remember which coffins have what dice in them as it moves down the line. There are 4 different special powers that you can use that are going to take place during certain parts of the game. But in essence, this game is about putting dice in the coffins, shaking them, and seeing what happens. So it's purely like a lucky game. You can try to negate it by putting dice in different places and using the special ability, but you're still at the mercy of the roll. So since this was your first play, what did you feel about this game?
I actually really liked it, and I didn't think I would. Like, it looks cool. I like that aesthetic. I like the Dia de Muertos aesthetic, the look of it, the sugar skulls and the marigolds, like in those bright colors. And this comes with like cool coffins that act as like dice cups and dice trays, which I think is a really neat thing. But I found out that there was a lot of kind of strategy to this, despite the fact that you are at the mercy of the rolls, but you can get these different offerings, like for the ofrenda, that you can use to give you special powers, to kind of manipulate coffins to where you want them to be, to add more dice to the coffins that are getting rolled, to kind of increase your chances. And just remembering, because there's only one coffin that's open and the other 3 are closed. So remembering where your dice are, and there's only one of the coffins that will actually let you ascend on the stairs. So you're trying to get the coffin with your stuff to that one particular spot. And how you do that, the manipulation of, and certain things, cause the coffins to move and shuffle around, and you can cause them to move and shuffle around with like these special tokens. That is really cool. Like, I enjoyed this way more than I thought I would. And a lot of people love dice games, so I think we should be playing this more often. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, another thing I think that makes this thing a little bit cool, more fun, I guess, the production is amazing. Like, the coffins are cool, the stairs are completely unnecessary, but they look awesome, and it's cool to put your dice on each step and try to ascend. Not necessary, it could be a track or whatever, but it looks awesome. So yeah, I enjoy this game. It's not my favorite dice game, but the production definitely bumps it up a little bit higher and probably makes more people want to play it because it looks cool.
It's true. I do want to play it because it looks cool and it feels cool.
Yep. All right, so that is the games we played. Let's get into the feature.
All right, so our topic today is something that we usually don't deal with. It is huge. It is a problem. We have brought this up in other episodes about things that annoy us about the board gaming like industry and like hobby. And that is FOMO. If you don't know, FOMO is fear of missing out. FOMO can be pretty rampant in the board game community. Part of that is due to Kickstarters, exclusives, games going out of print, the growing nostalgia. I don't know why it exists, but it does. And it's real bad in the hobby. For Jason and I, we generally don't deal with FOMO because Jason's a cheapskate, and so he won't pay for anything new. And there's so many games out there that we really just don't get caught up in that fear of missing out on something new. And this generally happens with new things. It's not even as much experiences, although that I have more of, not being at like a con, like never going to Eschen Spiel my entire life, maybe. That would be really sad. But for some people, FOMO is real. And I think the pandemic kind of brought a lot of that to the surface because we weren't out playing games with people. Everyone was at home. And so they're looking at the games coming out at Kickstarter, and they're looking at these things that they want to have. And now that things are slowly kind of coming back to some sense of normalcy, I think there's capitalization happening for FOMO, and Kickstarter is getting more expensive. Shipping is going to be more expensive. There's all kinds of things happening. And so we see this as a problem for other people, and we want to help you. We want to help you combat that FOMO so it will not take you down, make you depressed, drag you into its clutches. And next thing you know, you're under a pile of Kickstarters that you've never opened, and you're destitute, and your wife has left you, and you're covered in cheese puffs with a can of Moon Mist and nothing else in your life.
This is not just a guy problem, okay? You
Okay.
said wife. I'm sure there could be some women who are into this too.
Well, my wife could leave me too. I mean,
I guess that's true.
so
Yeah.
we have some, I don't know how good this advice is, but it's only pretty okay if we're coming at you. So here's some ways we think that maybe might help you deal with your FOMO before it becomes a problem and we have to get out the intervention banner. So where do you want to start?
The thing that I think would help for some FOMO is not a thing that I struggle with. It's not like a personality trait of mine. It's just not something that I really care about. I'll play old and busted games, whatever. But one of the things that I think would help, if you're really into Kickstarter and you really feel like you need to have all the new games that are coming out, maybe share the cost of Kickstarters with a buddy or a friend or a gaming group or something. And that could happen one of two ways. You could either say, hey, let's get this, what's that, Scarface 1920 game? I'll pay half of it, you pay half of it. Or maybe I'll back Scarface, you're going to back the next 6 because I back Scarface. That kind of thing.
Right.
So kind of do something like that where, yes, you still are going to get to play all the new games, but you're not going to get to own all the new games. And I think that's okay. Like we have our friend Chris, he backs a lot of stuff. He buys a lot of new games. We get to play them, but we don't necessarily have to own them all. So I think playing the games is, in my opinion, is what it's all about. But I know there are people who like to collect. We have a collection too, so I'm not trying to, say that collections
We're not holier than thou. We know.
Yeah, right. I'm just saying, I think some people just buy the games because they feel like they need to have them on their shelves or, they're afraid of, FOMO. So they're afraid they're never going to be able to buy it. But to me, I just rather would play the game. So if my friend buys the game and I can play it, that's a win for me. So maybe try to figure out a way to cut some costs on Kickstarters, share it with friends, gaming groups, whatever you got to do to get the games, but maybe not own all of them.
Right. And I think another thing about Kickstarter, and honestly, I never really looked at it until I started doing the podcast because I thought, maybe I should pay attention to news. But sometimes, especially when like Kickstarter is hot and heavy, you might need to take a Kickstarter timeout. It's so easy to get sucked in and look at all this stuff. And you're like, oh man, like I saw these dice that are like oversized and they had teddy bears inside. And I'm like, dude, those are really cool. Do I need dice with teddy bears? Absolutely not. But I'm like, wow, but that wouldn't be cool to have dice with teddy bears. And like, am I ever going to be able to find this anywhere else? No, probably not. Or even all these different games, like, gosh, I would never have known about Scarface 1920 if I wasn't regularly surfing Kickstarter. And now I've seen it, and now I watched how to play it, and now I'm like, I really want that game, and we're probably never going to get it, and that's a really good game, and I'm really pouty about it. Maybe I just need to take a Kickstarter timeout and not peruse through Kickstarter, because I could get sucked in there for hours. I mean, and not just tabletop games, all kinds of stuff on Kickstarter. And so sometimes you just need to say, okay, I need to take a break. Or I, again, follow a bunch of board game groups on Facebook. Sometimes you need to take a step back and say, you know what, I don't care what the Funkhausers are doing. I don't need to see the games they have. Or even YouTube, like Man vs. Meeple, looking at games that are coming out in 3 years from now. I want those games. Why do they have those games and I don't have those games? How come Boring gets to review those games and I don't?
Yeah. I mean, I agree. Diving into Kickstarter is a whole world of trouble. You're just asking for trouble. There's so many games that it's ignorance is bliss when it comes to Kickstarter. Sometimes if I don't know it's on there, I'm not going to miss it. I'll just wait till somebody does a review of it and it's out at a game store and I can check it out.
Right. And again, I'm not saying the Kickstarter is bad or whatever, but again, if you're having issues with FOMO, so this is like, if you're an alcoholic, you don't want to go and regularly, walk around a liquor store and just stare at them. So
it's probably not recommended. Yes.
Right. Take a Kickstarter timeout. That would be my little piece of advice.
Yeah. I also think sometimes to go along with that, and then, all these things kind of go together, but maybe just go to a con or go to your game store and see if they have some demo copies. Because sometimes for the Kickstarter campaign, for like the promotional copies, they'll send games out to different places and you can go check it out. I know there was one that I was looking at to try to get a review copy of, and they sent it to one of the game stores by our area about an hour away. And they were saying, hey, if you want to go check it out, you can drive over there and play it. So yes, that's a little more inconvenient, but it would still let you play the game without having to maybe physically actually buy it. So check it out at a con, game store. Maybe it'll help you scratch the itch a little bit.
Well, and also, like for us, we mentioned our friend Chris, who likes to buy new games. And, that's like his big hobby. And we have other friends that, maybe they don't have kids or whatever. They've got extra funds. I'm not judging how you spend your money, okay? But there are people, like, we're allocating our money to other things. And so they have money to go into games. And so it's nice when you have a friend who gets the new games and say, hey, did you see this new game? Did you pick that up? I'd love to try it. Can we get together and play it? Or maybe you will have a friend who reviews games that gets games. Like, we don't get anything, real exciting, but
Sometimes.
I mean, we're no MVM getting stuff, 10 years in advance, but
That's true. No one's that. No one gets that.
If you happen to know a reviewer, or if maybe there's a prototype group close, or someone that, what's the name of the people? I think they test play for Jamie.
Champions?
Yeah, whatever. Super Secret Ninjas, whatever Jamie has. You might know one of those. So if you know that someone, is one of Jamie's Super Secret Ninjas, you can say, hey, could I play with you? I'm not going to say boo about it. I just kind of want to know about new games. And that can kind of scratch that itch for something new. You don't have to own it, but then maybe you still get to, interact with it, be in the same room with it as a way to kind of overcome some of that FOMO.
Yeah, and to go along with that a little bit, our friends at the Board Game Rundown, sometimes I think they may not host it, but there's a proto spiel over by them where people are going to be taking those prototypes and you can go play them to your little heart's content. Play all these games that no one's ever heard of. They might not even have final artwork, but you're going to get to play them first before anybody else, which is pretty cool.
And they have a room like that, I know, at least at Origins.
Yeah, there's one at Origins, yeah.
Where people bring their prototypes in and you can go play test and help people out. We also went to, isn't there a place called Proto Bar down in Dayton that had a board game night? And I played a random prototype of a card game with some people because people could bring their prototypes there.
That unicorn meets pirates or something.
I have no idea. I can't even remember the game now, but I did play it.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but I saw you play it.
Well, of course, because you're like, ooh, strangers, run away. And I'm like, I'll get sucked into your world, whatever.
I was running away playing real games. But yeah, also not even playing new games. You could go find a game, maybe an older version of a new game. So, if you wanted to play, this is a terrible example because this game was really hard to find. Maybe you wanted to play Rococo and you didn't want to pay $150 for the new version. You could go on Board Game Marketplace or BGG or Amazon or eBay and try to find an old busted version, meaning the first edition version, and play that so you can kind of feel how the game works, see if it's something that you'd want to actually spend your money on or if that old version is fine. Because a lot of the times, the newer versions are going to have maybe a few rules tweaks, but they're basically just going to have a graphic design and art overhaul, which, yes, looks nice, but no matter what Katie says, it's not crucial to playing the game. The gameplay still is the same for the most part. There are some differences sometimes, but usually you can find those rules on BGG and you can just implement those new rules with the old version of the game. So it's not exactly what you want, but it could maybe hold you over. And it could still let you play the game that you want to play without having to spend all that money.
But the new ones are so pretty, and that makes you want to play them more.
I'm not disagreeing with you that new Rococo looks amazing, since we're going to use that example.
It has a points track. I want that points track.
That's true. That is nice.
And the shaped thread and fabric.
It's not necessary to play the game. That's all I'm saying. It's not
necessary for me.
Well, you're bougie, and everybody's not as bougie.
It's my FOMO. That is the one thing that's hard for me. That's the one FOMO. When they come out with something that's new and pretty and it's got all the fun bits. Actually, my FOMO is deluxe editions. Because even if we do back a Kickstarter, which is rare, Jason will never back the deluxe edition because it's more money for what he considers to be unnecessary. And I consider all those fun, little, pretty pieces to be necessary. So that is the hard part for me for FOMO. But I think another way to kind of combat that is I've taken some of my old games and gotten cool upgraded bits for them. So I've kind of made my own deluxe edition, through the help of a lot of you lovely Riveted members. You've sent me really cool stuff. My Castles of Mad King Ludwig has the awesome, this awesome 3D printed insert. My Grand Austria Hotel, thank you, Mike Picorni, has all the cool little cake bits and wine bottles. And, that has kind of helped me deal with my deluxe edition FOMO, because that's the one thing that really hits me. But for us, that's something that we like to do to combat it. And that's kind of, I don't know, another tip on how to get board games on a budget. When they're going to release a new edition or do a reprint, we'll start looking for the old and busted copies, man, because clearly we like ugly old games.
Yeah. And I mean, probably also there's so many other games that may kind of play like the game that you're looking at.
Right.
That maybe you could go play one of those. So, if there's a worker placement game on Kickstarter, but it has a bunch of minis and stuff, maybe go play another worker placement game. Yes, it's not the same. I understand. None of these things are perfect substitutions. I get that. But it could still hold you over. Like, if there's a shiny new Viking game, but you don't want to pay for it, go play Champions of Midgard. It has a cool Viking theme. So maybe you could play a game with a similar theme, similar mechanisms, similar minis, like some game that kind of fits in the same vein of the game that you're looking at. It could help.
And really that's the issue, is like, there are lots of new games that come out that we really like and really want. And so it's just kind of, well, let's wait until we can find it retail, or we can find a used copy, or we can see if someone else might get it, or maybe get it on a trade. So really it's not about saying, oh, I never want a new game, or I never want to go after something new, but I don't need to fear that I'm going to miss out on it, because eventually it's going to resurface. If not very recently, maybe later on shopgoodwill.com 20 years from now, you'll be able to pick it up. That's true.
That's like a cheapskate's gold mine right there.
So it's your gold mine.
Not just mine. I've seen some people, some of those games get bid up pretty high.
I know. I want that compatibility game. I want that. And I want a copy of Dream Phone. Dang it.
Dream Phone is one of those games that gets bid up pretty high.
I know. It's so fun. I used to play it all the time. I mean, I got Mo Madness, so.
That's true.
What am I?
It's close. I mean, I know they're not the same game, but that's still a good time.
So finally, I want to close out with kind of words of wisdom from pretty much everyone's mom. So, when you're out at a store and you see something, or like you're at the grocery store and you're like, ooh, mom, like, let's get cookies. Or it's like, oh, this is my kids. My youngest kid especially. She's like, let's go to Red Lobster for lunch. I want shrimp. My mom... This is my kid. And also, when I was a kid, I'm sure I did this too, because she is just like me. My mom would say, we're not going to eat out. We got food at home. It's the same with games. You don't got to buy that new one. You got games at home. Most of us have a lot of games at home. Most of us have a shelf of shame, which I think is a silly thing. The shelf of opportunity is a much better way to say it. There is no shame in having games that you haven't played, unless you got a FOMO problem and you're still like, don't want to miss out. So you're grabbing every game possible and like freaking out when you've got games that are sitting there waiting to be played, wanting to become a part of your board game repertoire. So
yeah.
Whenever I think, oh my gosh, like, oh, look at all these cool Kickstarter games, I'm like, okay, let's go to the board. For us, it's the board of illegibility. And I'm like, okay, let's play a game off of here. Because to me, it's a new game. It's a game I've never played. It's a game I'm actually missing out on. So I should go ahead and play it. And that gives me something else to look forward to, something new, or a friend's collection, looking for something new there. I know there are libraries also that loan out games sometimes. So there are games at home that you can go play and don't have to worry about something new.
Yeah, this is kind of a sad story, but the Dice Tower put up a video where there was a guy who donated. He passed away, and he donated, I don't know if he donated, but the Dice Tower bought it, but there was like 50, 60 to 70 boxes full of games. There were Kickstarter pledges that had never been opened in the box. There were multiple copies of brand new and shrink games that he never got to play. He never opened, didn't get them out of the box that they were shipped to him in. It's just that kind of thing that you have the game, you want to play it. So FOMO can lead to that type of thing where you're just buying everything and you're never going to have a chance to play it.
And
or
next
maybe
thing you know, you're dead.
Or maybe you don't know.
And your kids are selling your stuff off. And what do you have to show for it? Nothing.
Yeah, it's tragic. So don't be that. Don't be like that. Just get games, play, and have fun. That's what it's about.
Yeah, so really on a happy note, carpe diem. So don't worry about missing out, but seize the stuff that you have, try out some new things, collaborate with the board game community to try out new games, to find games that are new to you, And eventually those other brand new spanking games that you're so afraid of missing out on, they'll come around. Or like the Board Game Rundown says, they may say it's Kickstarter exclusive, and yet the company sells that Kickstarter exclusive on some big box website.
Yep. Just give it 5 minutes. just give it 5 minutes.
So anyway, this is not to say don't buy new games, don't follow Kickstarter, nothing like that. It's just if you find that it's becoming a problem, you're like, oh, I'm missing out on all this stuff. How am I going to buy this new Kickstarter? How am I going to spend $117 for Scarface 1920, which I'm determined to do?
I know. That's giving me some FOMO right there.
It is. We're going to have to go play The Godfather and try and, deal with it for now.
Yep. I agree. Because, that theme is cool and that game looks really good. But, yeah.
I don't know if this is a good topic or not. I don't know. I just thought it was interesting to talk about.
I mean, pretty okay. That's all I got to say.
That's right. So if you have any tips on how to deal with FOMO, or if you think we're completely out of our mind, tell us. Go to our Facebook page. We always post our episode there. So there's a good post to comment on. Or, like I mentioned at the top, go to #TheRiveted, join our Facebook group. We got awesome people. I love them all there. You're all my Fickle favorites at one time or another. So come post, tell us how you're dealing with FOMO, how you're not dealing with FOMO, if you think FOMO isn't real. I don't know. Or Instagram, Twitter, and even YouTube. We're at all those places. And you could talk about things other than our podcast topic. If you have potential podcast topics, because you're like, man, these guys were pretty okay, and now they're really scraping the barrel, give us those on any of our media platforms. Slip into our DMs if you want. I don't care. We're happy to hear from you guys. That's the reason why we do this podcast. It's obviously not because we're talented at it.
Yeah, I think we kissed that dream goodbye a long time ago.
Long time ago.
And as always, check out our friends over at the Board Game Rundown. They have a cool video series that they do weekly. Topics, games played, news, all that type of stuff. They're as good as we are, with the exception of Dan. He might be a little worse, but they're pretty okay as well. I'll give them the pretty okay monitor today. I'll do it. I'm gonna bestow that upon them, and now they're in the club, the pretty okay club.
You're feeling generous. I think they're just okay.
Yeah,
they would be pretty okay if they would ditch Dan, but he keeps showing back up. So
yeah, that's true. Maybe they're just like less than pretty okay. I don't know.
He's bringing down the average.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, I think that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for listening, and hit us up on any of our social media platforms because we love to hear from you.
I agree.
All right. Well, I've been Katie.
And I'm Jason.
Keep gaming, everybody.
Keep gaming.
The moral of the story is keep gaming.